Mostly just sit apart. Whoa, that's loud. That's working now. Testing. The audio is definitely coming through in the auditorium.
Buddy voice of your moderator from the auditorium. Just want to thank the handful of you in here for coming. I know I'm mostly going to be in very little picture over there, but I wanted to thank you for coming. We should have a quorum of 50 and get everybody seated in a couple of minutes, so we should be getting going pretty soon. So again, thanks for coming. I know it's not easy coming out these days, and of course the heat came back, but thanks for being here. I'll start the meeting momentarily from the other room. Thank you. everybody. I know it's after 7 o'clock, but there is a pleasant surprise of a very long line outside. And it's only fair that we at least wait till the people who were in line at 7 o'clock get checked in. So I've asked the people who are at the end of the line at 7 o'clock to let the clerks know. Also, is Nathan Walsh in this room? Nathan? Yeah, I was going to, okay. So I'm going to get started as soon as I can. Thanks for being here. Okay. Is this for Ellen's questions? Yeah. Okay, good. I'd rather deal with it now than have to deal with it. Well, the people are going to wait in line longer than the meeting rate we're going. So, yeah, so what is the change?
So, at the very
Thank you for your patience, everyone. We're still just waiting for people who were here by 7 o'clock to come in. And I'm also working with the Board of Health to make sure we can get all the voters in who want to be here and still keep us safe. So thanks for your patience. right, a quick update. We're getting closer. First of all, I want to congratulate the townspeople for actually caring to come out on a Tuesday night. I want to let you know that there's a gentleman who's going to be working, trying to get us all to fit safely in here. It's Nathan Walsh from the Board of Health. So if you see a guy asking you to, he's in the back there with the black mask on and sort of in khakis and white. It's not just some random guy. He's a member of our Board of Health who's trying to figure out how we can fit everybody in here safely so we can get the meeting done. And he's the one who's sort of been one of the drivers of how we're doing the layout in here. So we'll get started as soon as we can. My apologies if people wait in line longer than the meeting may take, but I'm figuring out how to cut down my introductory remarks so we can get going. But again, thanks for your dedication for voting and for being members of, acting as your role of citizen legislator. It's greatly appreciated by all of us who set these things up. Thank you. I jinxed it by thinking this room was going to stay relatively empty. There's still a number of people in line. So again, just keep your distance from each other and try to follow the tape. And we're going to get started as soon as the people who are in line approximately 7 o'clock are checked in and seated. All right, thank you for your patience, everyone. The people who were at the back of the line at 7 o'clock, the scheduled meeting time, seem to have been checked in and are getting seated, and there's a few minutes of preamble. So I am going to start calling the meeting to order. For those of you just to keep this safe, people have asked that I speak slowly and take my mask off so it's not muffled, but I'm going to ask when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, if you're willing to either say it very quietly yourself or say it in your head, and I will say it on behalf of all of us since I have the screen here. May I ask that if you are willing and able, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? The flag is to the back of the gym and it's on the front of the auditorium. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. It being the time of 7:19 on September 29th, 2020, being the special town meeting being called pursuant to a warrant from the selectmen I have here. We have the fundamental things we need for a special town meeting are the moderator. I am your moderator, John Arnold, 251 West Main Street. We have our town clerk, Wendy Mickle, who will be here momentarily before we start taking votes, I'm sure, who will be sitting over at that desk there. We have a quorum of 50 voters, and again, thank you. For those of us who are planning this, we thought we'd get 50 without a problem, but the fact that there was a long line at 7 o'clock shows that the people of Westborough really do care about their town government. And on behalf of all of us and everyone who took the time to set this up, thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday evening. And I said we had a warrant, so I declare the meeting in session. We have over to my right, your left in the front here, the Board of Selectmen, Town Manager, Town Council. Over to my left, your right, we have the Advisory Finance Committee, and scattered throughout a bit more than usual, we have our Planning Board and our School Committee and other department heads. This 2 sheets of paper that has the Advisory Finance Committee and Selectmen on it. This is the official report and recommendations of the Advisory Finance Committee, a committee of 9 citizen voters who are independent of all town administration and who study the articles before you and make recommendations to what they see as the best interests of the voters. I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. I want to thank Steve Masciarelli, Mark Stockman, Westborough TV, Board of Health, the school staff for a lot that went into this. We thought it was going to be a lot cooler than June for those of you who are here, so it's a little cooler, and it's only 3 articles, but we're going to do our best. And I want to thank everyone for setting up and for people being patient in these unusual and difficult circumstances. We're going to start off. Our bylaws require that I nominate a deputy moderator who will preside in the event of my absence, or preside in the gymnasium as the case, in the auditorium as the case may be. I merely nominate. It is the voters, you, who elect the deputy moderator. I have recruited and nominated Benjamin Gold of 1 Eric Drive for this post. He is, I believe by now, standing at the podium in the auditorium. He's been briefed and prepared to serve. So I'm going to tell you how we're doing this. All of you registered voters should have gotten a large piece of yellow paper. It's larger than usual, so it's easier for me to see. When I ask for votes, I'm going to ask people in favor to raise and then put them down, and then people against to raise and then put them down, so we can see how we're doing. So let's do a sample right now. I have nominated Benjamin Gold to be your deputy moderator for this evening. If you are in favor, please raise your voting slip, nice and high. Okay, put them down. Any opposed? I see none opposed. Mr. Gold, can we check the microphone is working and tell me how the vote went over there?
Hello. No opposition.
Okay, Mr. Gold, you have been elected by the voters of the town meeting unanimously to serve as deputy moderator. If you will please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that having been elected deputy moderator that you will faithfully and impartially perform the duties of this office, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. We'll now continue on. I have not heard of any requests for a non-voter to be in the meeting or to speak to the meeting. Now would be a good time to tell me. I don't believe there's any non-voters other than maybe the working press here. Are there any in the auditorium, Mr. Gold?
I do not see any.
Thank you. All right, so no non-voters that we know of yet. And now we're just going to move on. I want to let you know Again, I thank you for being here. The town meeting serves as Westborough's legislative body. As you can tell, there's a lot of differences from the, quote, good old days of town meeting. I'm not going to, because we all were waiting in line or sitting in here, I'm not going to go over all of them. I'm going to say we don't have roving microphones. When it comes time to see if people wish to speak, I will ask if people wish to speak. And then when I acknowledge someone, you can go to either one of the microphones here in the gymnasium or the one at the front of the auditorium, and we will cycle through. Just the key things are it's equal participation in the two rooms. I want to emphasize that there are wipes at the microphones. I will ask any of you who are going to speak at the microphone to wipe the microphone down before you start, and then perhaps when you are done. If anyone wants to ask a question or make a comment and is not comfortable, when you raise your hand, if I call on you and you'd rather not use the microphone, let me know, and either I or someone will come get your question and announce it to the room on your behalf. I'm going to ask you all to stay separated, and except for me when I'm talking, please keep your masks on. The Board of Health and the Health Director have worked very, very hard on the setup for today's meeting, and we want to make sure we meet or exceed, continue to meet or exceed all of the COVID-19 safety guidelines. So I want to thank you in advance for your cooperation. Just outside the gymnasium and outside the back of the auditorium, there are men's and ladies' rooms. The school department has blocked them off in terms of using every other sink or every other urinals the men's room may be. So I'm going to ask you to use your discretion. If you feel that it needs to be cleaned, please flag down a custodian, and we'll do everything we can to help. I want to remind people that discussion and deliberation is limited to the topic of the motion and the warrant article only. And if we end up having to take account, I will not use the time to appoint tellers and to describe what that process is unless it's necessary. I do want to mention that it's that the way town meeting works, since it's a legislative body, it's one person, one vote, one voting slip, and you have to be here and present, so there is no proxy voting and there is no remote voting since we are an open town meeting. I know this is an ultra-brief overview of essentially parliamentary procedure for an open town meeting, but if at any time you have a question, you can just raise your voting slip and call out point of order, and I will interrupt as soon as I hear, or as soon as Mr. Gold hears, and we'll answer your question at that time. I'll ask us all to turn off or mute our cell phones, and if you do have to take a call, please go out in the hallway and please keep socially distanced. If a fire or evacuation alarm rings, I'm going to ask us all to follow the guidance of there are police and fire chief are here, there are policemen here. You'll see there are exits, and I would ask, although we do want to keep social distancing, obviously if personal safety, if there is an actual fire, we have to trade off the fire versus your mask and everything, but just please do whatever you can. I know of no procedural questions to be addressed here at the top of the meeting, so if there are none, we will move on to Article 1, and I will accept a motion. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Ian Johnson, 9 Burtis Adams Way. And please bear with me. Hopefully some can see that, but I'll try to go through this so you can all hear. I move that the town authorize the Board of Selectmen acquire by purchase, gift, and/or eminent domain on such terms and conditions as the board deems in the best interest of the town, and subject to existing agreements, easements, and/or restrictions, the parcels of land located at 31 to 33 Eli Whitney Street, Westborough, containing a total of 66 acres, more or less, and being a portion of the premises described in deeds recorded with the Worcester South District Registry of Deeds in Book 20558, pages 158 and 162 for the following purposes. Parcel A is shown in a plan entitled Plan of Land 31 to 33 Eli Whitney Street, Westborough, Mass., Worcester County, dated September 21st, 2020, on file with the town clerk, is to be acquired by the town for conservation and passive recreation purposes, and for the purpose of granting a conservation restriction thereon under the care, custody, and control of the Conservation Commission, pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C, and subject to the provisions of Article 97 of the Massachusetts Constitution, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen and the Conservation Commission to grant a conservation restriction pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 184, Sections 31 to 33 on said parcel. And Lot 1, as shown on the foregoing plan, is to be acquired by the town for conservation, passive recreation, parking, and general municipal purposes under the care, custody, and control of the Board of Selectmen. B, appropriate the sum of $2,300,000 for the purpose of acquiring said land and costs incidental or related thereto, and to meet this appropriation, transfer the sum of $800,000 from the sale of real estate account for parcel A and lot 1, and transfer the sums of $750,000 from the open space account and $750,000 from the Walk-Up Robinson account for parcel A. C, authorize the Conservation Commission to apply for, accept, and expend any funds that may be provided by the Commonwealth or other public or private sources to defray all or a portion of the cost of said acquisition, including but not limited to grants and/or reimbursement from the Commonwealth under the Self-Help Act, General Law, Chapter 132A, Section 11, now so-called land grants. And D, authorize the Board of Selectmen to execute any and all documents and take all other action necessary or convenient to accomplish the foregoing.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Just a point, a couple of things I forgot. You'll notice Mr. Johnson introduced himself with his name and address. If you wish to address the meeting, just so we can record who the voter is that's speaking, you should follow his lead and do that. And second, I want to say presentations are limited to 10 minutes. And by our bylaws, each voter can only speak twice on an item unless they are answering a question. Unless the meeting agrees further. And then as a rule of the meeting, presentations, as I said, are limited to 10 minutes and individual speeches are limited to approximately 2 minutes. So those are the things I forgot to mention. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. I'll try to do this sideways. I apologize for my back here. So again, Article 1, purchase of 3133 Eli Whitney property. So 3133 Eli Whitney Street. I don't know which one's the laser pointer here, so. Sorry for my technical problems here. So basically, it's this big parcel right here, just to orient Eli Whitney Street, Fales School property, right here. So I think people know, those of you know the Eli Whitney house marker directly across the street on Eli Whitney Street, but again, adjacent to the Fales School to orient. As you can see, a large piece of property surrounded by residential property. This is approximately, as I said, 66 acres. This has been a priority open space parcel for the town for a number of years. And numerous times have gone through trying to acquire this property. Now it's before us with an agreement with the landowners. The acquisition contributes to our open space corridor. It abuts town-owned land. I'll show you that in the next slide. And with that abutting, it has the potential for safe routes to the Fales School from the Wayside and Mountain View, Fay Mountain neighborhoods. And I apologize for not speaking into the speaker. So again, here on the map, this is the property we're talking about here. Everything here labeled M1 is town-owned property currently. So as you can see, adjacent to that, again, this big M1 space there being the Fales School and location in Wayside neighborhoods and other neighborhoods adjacent to that parcel. As in the lengthy motion, you heard two sections talk of parcel A and lot 1. So parcel A, the big piece here, to the Conservation Commission for conservation uses, permanent conservation for conservation and passive recreation. So that's this big parcel, approximately 62 acres of land there. Lot 1 is with the frontage on Eli Whitney Street. This is separated out to be under the control of the Board of Selectmen, again, for passive recreation. The reason under the Board of Selectmen is with the conservation restriction doesn't allow for certain things like building trailheads, parking lots, et cetera. We've seen that with other properties. So that this small parcel of relatively 4 acres under the control of the Board of Selectmen, will allow us to properly put parking, trailhead, trail signs, et cetera, in that space. That will be designed, we'll try to minimize the use of that property, and anything that we don't need within that 4 acres, and discussions with the Conservation Commission, we'd come back to, in essence, transfer that back to the Conservation Commission for permanent conservation. So it's not the intent to build anything there, with the exception of access, safe access into this property. And again, that's just a blow up of that lot 1, as you can see. That is the frontage on Eli Whitney Street, and just to my right here, again, is the Fail School property. But this is the piece with the access off Eli Whitney Street and access into the property. And as I talked about on the prior slides, there is opportunity for us with that other town-owned parcels, that there is potential we may be able to get trail access and parking in some of the other areas, but again, those will be things to be developed once hopefully this meeting approves the purchase of this property. A lot of people here probably know about this property. The first slide I had was a picture on that property as we've been doing our due diligence. Here's another picture of the property. It's beautiful. We were going to have my fellow selectman, Lee Emery, talk about this. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight, but if those of you listen to our selectman meeting, she kind of grew up on this property, rode horses to this property, and just raves about it. It is a beautiful piece of property, something that is extremely valuable to us as a town to preserve for our residents as open space and protect it from development. So as you can see, beautiful piece here. Again, varied use, some wetlands in that property. Ferry houses have been developed in there. Our conservation director said he may have to preserve this piece as well, I believe. So, but again, just beautiful pieces, and wanted to show you that. So finally, slide, the purchase price, $2.3 million. Went through the funding sources of this. First and foremost, we're not asking for any taxpayers' dollars. This is not coming out of your taxes or affecting the tax rate. This is coming from transfers from accounts that are here. So 2 of those being open space accounts, the open space, where we'll be looking to transfer $750,000. The Walk-Up Robinson transfer of $750,000 from there. And then a sale of real estate account that the town has from selling other pieces of real estate, notably State Hospital property, we'll be taking $800,000 from that. So transfers from all 3 of those accounts for the total of $2.3 million. And once again, as is noted here, this is not something that will go on to individual taxes or affect the tax rate of the residents. And the final piece, and I'll turn to the moderator if he wants to call on representatives from Open Space, Walk-Up Robinson, or Conservation, but the use of funds, as noted here, was approved by Open Space and Walk-Up Robinson committees on August 12th, 2020. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. As you can see in the report from the Finance Committee unanimously recommended in favor. The Selectmen unanimously recommended in favor. I will ask if there's anyone from the Open Space Committee or from the Walk-Up Robinson Trust that wants to make comments. Mr. Silverberg?
Hi, Mark Silverberg, 7 Weld Street. I am Chair of the Planning Board and Chair of the Open Space Committee. I am not on the Walk-Up Robinson Committee, so I don't know if they want me to report that, but sorry, is that better? Okay, sorry. So the Planning Board unanimously supported the article as presented tonight. The Open Space Committee also unanimously supported the article. I can report for Walk-Up Robinson, Tim, if you want me to do that. They also supported the article unanimously. And I just wanted to thank the Board of Selectmen for their dedication and perseverance and will to make this happen. It's been a long time coming, and without their efforts to pursue these negotiations, I just can't believe that we're actually having the opportunity to make this happen tonight, and I hope it passes and I hope you all vote for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Silverberg. Now, just to get a sense, may I ask for people to raise their voting slips if they want to speak to either ask a question or to speak in support or in opposition to the article, just so I can get a sense of how many people are here to speak versus to vote. Can you do the same in the auditorium? All right, I just see a handful, so we'll do from here. So yes, to the first speaking microphone, please. And Mr. Gold, if there's anyone who wants to speak in the auditorium, you can pre-stage them at the microphone and we'll go to them next. Thank you.
Andrew Kenningsburg, 3 Smith Street, Chairman of the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission supports this article, and in case anybody has any questions about this land staying in permanent conservation status, once it's transferred to the Conservation Commission, it is preserved open space in perpetuity. It would take a 2/3 vote of the legislature to change that status, which is not likely. So just wanted to pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenningsburg. Mr. Gold, was there anyone in the auditorium who wanted to speak?
None at this time.
Okay, the gentleman in the blue, remember name, address.
Good evening, Chris Weinworm, 4 Overlook Drive. I just had 2 general questions. To me, passive recreation is sort of vague. Are there any firm definitions to that? And who makes that determination, either the Conservation Commission, the Selectmen, or both? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So 2 questions. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Andrew Kenningsburg, 3 Smith Street. Passive recreation is things like hiking trails, anything that doesn't have an impact on the property. Nothing can get built. Active recreation, land, for example, building tennis courts, running track, anything where you have to do construction. So passive means exactly that, just low impact use of the land. Does that answer your question?
Follow-up question?
Somewhat. I know other town properties through the town have opened it up to archery during hunting seasons, and I didn't know if this piece along like the Libby property and other parcels in town would be open to that as well. If it's not, it doesn't matter. I'm for this anyway, but it's more opportunity for me.
Thanks for your candor.
The Conservation Commission has to take a vote on whether you will allow hunting during hunting season, bow hunting on conservation land. So there's the reason that we have allowed hunting, and this goes back about 10 years now, is because of the the overpopulation of deer in Westborough. So that's a consideration that the Conservation Commission may vote on. It would be put on the agenda, and we'd be hearing arguments pro and con against doing that. Nobody in the commission has thought that far ahead. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenningsburg. Anyone else in this room who wishes to speak to address the article? Anyone in the auditorium, Mr. Gold, wish to address the article?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing no more discussion, because this is a land, essentially a purchase of land by the selectmen, it requires a 2/3 vote. So at this point, I would like all those in favor of Mr. Johnson's motion to raise their voting slips. Okay, put them down, please. Any opposed? I see none opposed in here. What's the vote in the auditorium, Mr. Gold?
None opposed.
Okay, in that case, I declare a unanimous vote, which is obviously greater than 2/3. Motion 1 carries. Thank you. I know we're all happy, but we try not to express ourselves in a legislative body, so thank you. We now turn our attention to Article 2, dealing with self-contained breathing apparatus replacement for the fire department. Ms. Marshall?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Shelby Marshall.
Sorry, hang on. Yes, Ms. Nurse? Point of order, yeah? Yes, thank you. That was my fault. I asked Ms. Nurse to do this. I meant to do it at the beginning, and I forgot. 2 points I wanted to make. If you haven't filled out your census at census.gov, please do. It makes a difference to Westborough and to the state for that, so please go to fill it out if you haven't. And I also want to give a plug now, because I know you're all going to start leaving once we get to Article 3. There's going to be a longer, just as important special town meeting sometime in November that's our normal October town meeting, but we're putting it after, the selectmen are going to put it after the presidential election so the town clerk can get some sleep. So please pay attention to that, and I hope to see you there too. Ms. Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Shelby Marshall, 7 Charles Street. I move that the town vote to transfer and appropriate the sum of $58,983 from free cash for the purpose of the article as printed in the warrant.
Ms. Marshall?
Firefighters depend on well-performing self-contained breathing apparatus, or SCBA, to provide breathing air in environments that are immediately dangerous to life and safety. The existing self-contained breathing apparatus units were purchased in 1998 and are 22 years old, and 6 additions out of NFPA compliance. The department has modified existing units, but spends approximately $10,000 annually for the maintenance of these units. This item was initially part of the FY 2021 capital plan, but was deferred in June in anticipation of applying for grant funds. A grant in the amount of $260,000 was awarded for the purchase in August. This request is to fund the balance needed to purchase the equipment. These newer units are equipped with technologies that will enable our firefighters to be tracked electronically, provide for higher burn threshold, and allow for enhanced communications. And I believe our chief wants to say a word.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. Chief Purcell.
Good evening, everybody. I am Patrick Purcell. I am your fire chief, proudly serving the town of Westborough. I do have a presentation real quick. It's a quick one. I apologize, it's a little bit dark. So like you heard from Selectman Marshall, the original apparatus that we use was purchased in 1997, 1998, and we've been using it almost every single day since it's purchased. We don't always go on air, but we wear the apparatus 3, 4, 5, 6 times per day. They have definitely seen their share of work. The life expectancy of these packs is typically 15 years. We've managed to get longer than that out of it. One significant component of that air pack is the bottle that you see. Can you go to slide 2? You can see that is what it looks like when we bought it in 1998. The bottle itself is wrapped in carbon fiber wrapped particle, and that is a life expectancy of 15 years. We did come to town meeting in 2006, and we got a small amount of money and then a separate grant to upgrade that equipment, but now we're nearing the end of that life again at the end of this year. This equipment is pretty important for us to use. It impacts the health and safety of firefighters, as well as helps us to operate in environments that are not safe, not healthy, and affect the rescue of civilians. Next slide. I'm sorry, can you go back one? So that's an example of one of the ones from our truck that I took that photograph today. And just for full transparency, you can see the date on this one. We have about 90 bottles. 1 for every pack plus a spare for every pack. And you can see the date on that one is July 2006. They vary. They're scattered throughout 2006 from when we purchased it. So we're rapidly approaching the end of the life of those of 15 years. Next slide. So the article before you today is providing us the opportunity to utilize grant funding of $260,000. This is the supplement for the rest of the project, and what it gets is the actual self-contained breathing apparatus, the pack itself, and we're purchasing 1 for every riding position that we have for our apparatus, 1 cylinder for every pack plus 1 spare, and face masks for every employee, and then, I'm sorry for the acronym, RIT is our Rapid Intervention Team. Those are the packs that are integrated. There's a special pack that is integrated to our air packs so that if we have a firefighter that is trapped, we have RIT teams that stand by with that so they can go in and perhaps supply air or repair somebody who may be trapped in debris with another mask or another bottle. So that's just a component of this project. some adapters that go with it, as well as some of our firefighters wear glasses, so you have to buy spectacle inserts. Next slide. Sorry, again, it's dark. So the overall project is $318,983. We got a grant for $260,000. A component of that is a match, and then there's a portion above that that the grant would not provide for, which we need, which is primarily those rapid intervention team packs. So I'll entertain any questions, Mr. Moderator, if there are any.
Thank you, Chief Purcell. Why don't we start in the auditorium? Mr. Gold, is there anyone who wishes to speak from the auditorium?
Not at this time.
Okay, anyone in here who wants to speak, ask a question, make a comment? Seeing none, our action comes on Ms. Marshall's motion to transfer and appropriate the sum of $58,983 from free cash for the purpose of the article. Will all those in favor of the motion please raise their voting slips? Thank you. Put them down, please. Any opposed? I see none in opposition. What's the vote from the auditorium like, Mr. Gold?
None opposed.
Okay, I declare unanimous that motion carries unanimously. Let's see, 750. We now turn our attention to Article 3. Mr. Payant. Give a moment for Mr. Payant to come over here. While he's getting ready. Okay, never mind. Mr. Payant.
Good evening, Chris Payant, the Public Works Director. I move that the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into a contract for 10 years with 2 5-year extensions for the purpose of the article as printed in the warrant.
Thank you, Mr. Payant. Brief remarks?
So you may or may not know, but the town water treatment plant is operated by a contract operator, and that contract expires next summer, and we're going through the process now to award a new contract as we go through so we'll go through the procurement process to get to a new contract next summer. And part of that process involves identifying the term of the contract. So the current contract that expires next summer has been in place for 20 years. Started off with its initial 10-year contract, and then it was extended twice, 5 years each. And we're recommending that we move forward with a similar contract for the next operator. And so that's what we're here tonight to address.
Thank you, Mr. Payant. Anyone have any questions or comments regarding Mr. Payant's motion? Here in the gymnasium, I see none. Anyone in the auditorium?
No.
All right. Our action comes on Mr. Payant's motion, and after we take the vote, please don't run quite yet. All those in favor of Mr. Payant's motion, please raise your voting slip. Okay, down please. Any opposed? I see none in opposition in the gym. What's the story in the auditorium?
None opposed, Mr. Moderator.
It's a unanimous vote. Article 3 carries. We have one more. Ms. Marshall, while we get ready to end the meeting, I just want to let everybody, Westborough's been done remarkably well, being safe and healthy. I know you all want to get out, but please try to keep your distance. So please just keep moving as you leave and try to stay apart. And if you have conversations, please do them outside so everyone behind you can get out, and please don't get too close. Ms. Marshall.
I move that we dissolve the September 29, 2020 special town meeting.
Okay, Ms. Marshall has moved to dissolve the special town meeting. Since we've been through all 3 articles, I'll ask all those in favor, please raise their voting slips. All right, put them down. Any opposed? I see none opposed. How's the auditorium doing?
None opposed.
Unanimous vote to dissolve the meeting. Again, I could hardly be more proud to live in Westborough when I see people come out for a meeting like this. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of your evening and stay safe and healthy. Thank you.